Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that last session with both Hoff and Yoon. That was the session I've been alluding to, I feel, since yesterday around data binding and theming, which is my most favorite feature from Mrtk 3. Cassie, how are things going today?
They are good. They are fun. We are learning lots again today, talking to amazing people in the community. I really enjoyed the panel as well, which you were a part of.
Yes. We do have a guest here from the panel session this morning. Ivana Tilca is joining us. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm super excited, enjoying a lot the event. Hello, everyone. I'm from Argentina, but I'm here with these ladies.
Yes.
So awesome.
Yes. So we have a lot to discuss for this session with Ivana. We have an entire hour, so I hope you all are tuning in and excited. So we're going to start off just to learn a bit more about where you got your start in tech, and then also how'd you got into mixed reality. So give us the story.
Okay. Well, how I started in tech, I think it was a long time ago. No, but I started because my brother, he studied computer engineering. I actually I loved international relationships career, but he used to tell me to sit on the computer and play with the games, and then I said, okay, how do I do this? How do I try to create a game? And I remember that at that time it was Flash Macromedia, which was a kind of software that helped you create easily animations and stuff. So I bought a book. At that time we didn't have internet, guys. And I bought a book and started creating my own content. Then I decided to go to college. And in my university, one of my teachers knew that I already was building stuff with Flash, and she asked me to create a CD, an interactive CD, with the content of the class for people to see it on their computers. So I said, okay, let's do this. It's like it was like something extra for my college, and I started building that entire software by myself. It took a long time, but we did it. Yes. What?
So that's amazing. Like, I love that you had this goal, this idea, and that they knew you had this talent, and then you went for it.
Yeah. So that's when I created something for the first time that people used. It was given to all the students when they jump into the career. So seeing something that you build that can help others learn, I think that was okay. There's something here that I care, that I love, and that even though I build it by myself and in my room with my computer, a lot of people are actually taking advantage of this content. And that was the first time I actually created something. Then I don't know if you girls knew, but I was a Microsoft student partner.
Oh, no, I did not know that.
Yes. So I went to this event at Microsoft in Buenos Aires. So for everyone to know, I am not from Buenos Aires, which is the capital city from Argentina. I'm actually from a small city in the north of the country. And I always say that because it encourages students that are far away from the capital cities to know that they can reach something far away from their place. So I went to this event, and one of the people that was speaking was talking about WPF at that time. It was Windows Vista. And I said, okay, I want to learn about this. Where can I get more information? And that girl gave me a book. And she told me, okay, learn and write me if you like it. And I did it. And then she told me about this program about Microsoft Student Partners, that it was a community that they all teach each other and they give like courses in their universities. And that's how I began. I jumped into being a Microsoft Student Partner in Argentina. I traveled. I competed in Imagine Cup in France when I was 21 years old. Yes.
Do you remember what you built for Imagine Cup?
Yes, it was like, do you remember that Windows Vista had gadgets? Well, we built, it was two guys and me, another student partners, and we built like a gadget that reduced the energy consumption of the computer. Cool. So if you put that, like it's just a small gadget and you install it, you could make a huge impact to the environment.
Yeah.
So that's what took us to France. It was the first time getting out of my country and seeing the Eiffel Tower. It was something that
That's such an amazing story. I love that. Like, and like how those different programs, like how Microsoft, and you were able to engage and like learn and get with the community, and then just sky's the limit, really. Like,
Yeah.
And I will add to that, those programs still exist. For those who are tuning in at home, our Student Ambassador League, that's actually within the org that I'm in, within Cloud Advocacy, and it's a great opportunity for students. I would definitely say that. So just in case you're wondering, like, oh, is that still a thing? Yes, it is very much still a thing, and it's worth exploring. Imagine Cup as well.
it is also, yes.
That's also definitely something worth exploring. But there's just so many different university programs that I would say Microsoft has available. And so if you're interested in learning more, throughout our website, I feel like we have more information. Then also just check in with some other students, especially if for those of you, not just to say it's limited to computer science students, but however, speak with one another and see if there might be something that's already in the works. And if not, I would say reach out to someone within Cloud Advocacy, even if it's myself, and I can put you in contact with the right folks to get involved.
Yes. Well, and after that, after working and getting out of college and everything, I 2 years and a half, I actually worked for Microsoft for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And then I decided to backpack Europe.
Oh, that's my dream.
me too.
I always wanted to do that. Yes.
I needed to know if there was a world outside from the computer. So
Yeah.
I traveled. And when I returned to my country, I started working as a quality manager at a company, 3XM Group. And then I just started getting into management. And that was it. Not more programming and anything. But it was 2019. I have a mentor, Guadalupe Casuso. She works for Microsoft. I thank her every time I can. She sent me an Azure Connect.
Oh.
And she told me, okay, Ivana, you need to learn more about this. Tell me, what do you think? And I said, okay, this is the future. I said, holograms, this is the future. And I started getting into AI, and I started getting into MR. That's when I found out that there was this Mrtk kit or something that was so easily. I saw the videos. I saw your videos also. It was pretty easy to manage, and I said, okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
But I don't have a HoloLens, and that's what I was speaking before in the panel. That I said, okay, I don't need a HoloLens. I can learn and I can try things on my computer and on my cell phone, and that's how I returned into tech.
Yeah.
Right now, thanks to that, because I got awarded as a Microsoft MVP,
Yes,
which is the next step for me as a student partner.
Yeah.
And after that, I just earned at my company the role of Innovation Evangelist.
Oh,
So,
great.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
So now
Sounds
I'm
perfect.
just getting all I can and learning everything I can.
Oh, that's exciting. And so today, what is it that you're doing today? You mentioned your company.
And when it comes to my role,
Yeah.
yes, well, as an innovation evangelist, I just create content, go to events like this one, like I'm right now in this event, and basically guide to customers to understand the technology from a different point of view than just a developer. Like I'm meeting partners that are interested in building something in XR, and I'm getting to know their business and actually try to, the technology help them instead of they just jumping into innovation just because it's something trending.
Yeah.
So that's part of the job that I'm doing. And also I'm mentoring people in my company when it comes to XR development.
Yeah.
So that's the entire job right now.
Oh, wow. That's really powerful, impactful work. And I think what's really great is when you're able to do that in your job. So the reason why I say that is when I decided to come into advocacy, a lot of the work that I was doing outside of my 9-to-5 pre-advocacy is literally what I'm doing now in advocacy. It was just stuff that I really enjoyed doing from the kindness of my heart, being with the community, creating content, and I mentioned to the folks yesterday, it was really just Python content that I was creating. And you know, I would do my job, my little 9 to 5 at Microsoft, and this was before I came into advocacy, before I came into mixed reality. But then at night, I was creating like YouTube videos for Python. I was writing up blog posts. I was spending a lot of time just chatting with folks because I was also actively learning at the same time. And for me, the best way for me to learn and ensure that I'm retaining information is to teach it. And so that just became natural. And then when I discovered that people actually do all these things I was doing just for fun and actually, you know, get paid for it, I'm like, well, why don't I just go do that then all day, you know, instead of doing it at night? So that's when I made that transition. And I feel like my job doesn't quite feel like a job. Are there parts that feel like a job? Sure. But for the bulk of my day, it doesn't necessarily feel like how former jobs have felt for me because I spend so much time with the community, folks like you, for example, partnering people with like Cassie, for example, doing events like this. And it's a really, for me, it's a really great thing. I'm glad I found it. But then we're also still technical.
Yes.
At the end of the day.
And we still get to write code and we still get to do like the things that we love, but then we get to share them. Like that's one of my favorite parts about it is like I get to like come up with some crazy idea, see if it's even possible, then try to build it out, and then I get to go talk to people about it and like share it. Because like a lot of times when you're in-house development, like you build something cool and you're like really excited and then you like jump out of your office chair and there's like nobody, you're like, oh right, nobody cares.
This is what I need.
It's just me and I'm really excited. So you're like high five yourself and you're like, good job. But here it's really, really fun to share the things that we get to create. And I think even people with those like traditional development jobs could, like I think it's for a lot of developers, it doesn't occur to them to do the community side of it, or like they could do the community. Like for me, it didn't really occur to me for like a long time. And I was just doing more the in-house development where like, you're like, I love this. And you were like, you started in the community. Like it's so cool.
Yeah, I think that's something that I understood after I left Microsoft because it's like this is part of the energy that you need in order to keep on doing your job. Being in the event, sharing something in an event, even though if it is online also. But something important is I actually was a quality manager until a year ago because I did all these other things like learning and sharing with the community and YouTube videos and everything outside my job time.
Wow.
So it was like working from 9 to 5.
We were literally
Yeah,
twins.
it's the same. And after 5, I say, okay, now I can do what I like to do. And sitting around, I mean, I have to pay bills, so I need to do my job. But after a year and a half of doing that, which was exhausting actually, it's not easy. That's what you see, okay, I have a passion around this. My company said, okay, Ivana, we see that you like this. We see that this also works for us. So take this new role, which is, so they created the role for me. And
nice. That is amazing.
And I had the opportunity to hand off the quality management role to another person. But right now, everything is working. And it's like, am I really working in what I dream and I enjoy? It doesn't look like you're working, actually. But it's fun, and I'm glad that it helps not only my company, but the community and myself. So that's...
It's amazing that they like recognized that and supported you as well. Like, cause you know, not a lot of companies can do that necessarily. They'd be like, oh no, we need you to focus on what we hired you for. You know what I mean? Like, and so it sounds like a really amazing place to work. And I love hearing stories like that where the companies recognize the skills and talent and are able to like adapt and support it. So that's so cool.
Yes, I'm usually so thankful to them for that.
Oh, that's good. And so how I got to know who you are is that I came across your videos coincidentally on Mrtk. So I know you saw mine, but I got to know you because I saw yours. And I would say, like, I'm always a big fan of content creation and YouTube videos. And so I'm curious, what inspired you to start doing content more around Mrtk?
When I actually was getting into MR and AI, I saw that there was no content online.
Yeah, it's very low.
Like it was you and I think a couple of other guys, and I said, okay, I'm trying to figure out, because at that point everyone was building things for HoloLens 2, and no one was building things, even though Mrtk is multi-platform, no one was building for mobile.
Yes.
And I said, okay, I don't have a HoloLens, and I have a mobile, so I need to do what they're doing over there, but for this platform. And I knew it wasn't easy because it took me a while.
Otherwise, it'd be a ton of
Yeah.
videos on it.
Huh?
Otherwise, it'd be a ton of videos on
Yeah.
it, if that were the case.
You're right.
Yes.
It wasn't easy, but it took me a lot of time to actually see something, a hologram, only one hologram
Yeah, politics.
in my cell phone. And I said, okay, if anyone else wants to learn about it, it has to be on the internet.
Yeah.
And that's why I decided to create video. I mean, I love creating
cool.
content. I love streaming. I have a community that we stream all the time. But it's different when you create a video that you know that needs to be specific on the steps that someone needs to follow. Because when you're streaming, you are chatting, you're like making jokes and everything, but you need to be pretty clear, okay, you have to tick this thing on this part of this in order for everything to work. And by doing that, I got comments from all over the world. And oh, your video saved my day, your video saved my life. And it's that, I think that specifically is the reward you get by creating content, seeing that someone that it's in the other part of the world is actually watching you. I was talking to Joe, and they said he told me, I follow you on YouTube, and I was like, you are following me, really? Okay.
It is a nice feeling, though, to know that something that you spent a lot of time, and sometimes it could be just the smallest thing, too. But the fact that you took time to put content around it, whether it's a blog post or a video, and likewise for you, getting those emails from folks, because for a while I had a, I guess not my personal email, but like an additional personal email that I had available. And folks would just send me messages here and there. And it just always amazed me. And we can dive into it a little bit more later, but it just always amazed me, for me being a woman in tech and having direct emails come from men regarding the content I created and how much it helped them. And I would say, like, that was not something I ever expected, just given you know, thoughts around what it means to be a woman in tech. Like I said, we'll dig into that in a bit more, but just hearing that community feedback come back and folks saying that, like, oh, this thing you created has really helped me. And what I really love too is when someone does respond and they say, you know, thanks for these videos, and, you know, at 6 minutes and 37 seconds, you showed this, and I'm not sure how to do this thing. I actually love those emails, because what it means is that you're actually watching the video, and you're following along, and you're creating something. And then that actually means that whatever's being created is now helping you. Or not just you, but, you know, whoever the person is that's like watching it. And that really means a lot. And I'm just always like, whenever I get those, like, I turn to my partner and I'm just like, look, someone really liked it and it's helping them, you know?
I get so excited, and I get like all the warm and fuzzies, and like that's what makes me, like, I love doing it. You talked about this in the panel too, about like somebody helped you and you get to help somebody else, and I love that. Like a lot of the things that I got into, like AR and XR, like the different types of technologies, was after being inspired from going to a conference talk, from people sharing what they were working on and something they were passionate about, and I was like, I love this and I want to do it. So now, like, my favorite thing after I do a talk is like hearing that I like inspired somebody else, like that pay it forward, and then it's like, yay, like that's like the best feeling.
People also reach to me because they want to create content. Like, how do I make that intro like you did it? And part of the things that I explain to them, just remember and focus. It's not about the likes. It's not about the followers.
Not at all.
It's just about you solving the problem in the video, and that will be that you will later see what the result of that. Because as you said, you can get maybe 2 or 3 comments on a video, but actually you are helping someone with that content. So as I always say, it's not about the likes, it's not about the followers. Even though it's always better if you have a career on this. If you're an influencer, you have a lot of followers, but it's not about that.
For me, it's always been about the reach. And I think for me personally, that feeling of I help someone is what I always strive for when I'm really doing anything in my role within advocacy. And to know that something that's been created and out into the general public and the developer community specifically is able to help someone overcome a problem. Or I've had chances where I've done live streams, and because I talk so much about like academic and being able to connect with like teachers and such, or folks even again, who are in the midst of career change. And I know, like for me, in my non-traditional background, it's always great being able to speak with folks, because I often get the feedback from people who are like, I want to change from this one random career I'm in to now tech.
Yeah.
And they're like, what does that path look like? Because they're like, I've seen you do it. And now I'm like, either I'm inspired to do it now, or I just really want to know, like, where do I need to go to get started? But I think that's important, though, to be able to ensure that that is sometimes at the forefront, to let folks know, like, hey, I didn't come from, you know, computer science world. You know, I came from somewhere else. Like, I came from luxury fashion. You know, none of my degrees are related to technology at all. And so it's nice being also able to be this person who's kind of like outside of the tech bubble, that has now come into the tech bubble, creating the content while helping people as well, and also being that person that someone can go to for advice, assistance, or really just like a sounding board. Because sometimes people just need to get things off their chest about what they're going through.
I love non-traditional backgrounds, and I think it's important for people to talk about it too, because I've found like the more people talk about it, the more other people talk about it as well, because it used to be for a while, you'd be kind of like scared to say it, because you're like, oh, they're not gonna like maybe respect that I actually like know what I'm doing or anything like that. So I love hearing about people's different backgrounds, and then also like I get a lot of those questions too, like how did you do it, or what was your path? Because I have a non-traditional background. I was a data analyst, and so like it's hard to say too, because there's not one right way. Like there's a right way for everybody in a different way, and so like I think the key is finding what you're passionate about and what you're interested in. Right? Because like you found something you're passionate about and interested. You found that's me too. Like I found, and curiosity as well. That one thing that I feel like I see as a key like factor across a lot of different people that wanted to learn more or got into this is that curiosity and passion. And then and from there you have a goal, and then you don't stop till you get there. And then like that kind of sums up, I think, a lot of the non-traditional backgrounds.
And the other thing is you never know enough.
Oh
like,
yes.
The imposter syndrome. I mean.
Totally.
When I saw Scott Hanselman posting a video about imposter syndrome, I said, okay, I'm fine, because I always feel like that. It's important, whether you are starting your career at 39 and 55 or 20, you never know enough, because technology evolves all the time. And probably also the other important thing is that you maybe add something to the table that other people don't. I was scared of actually sharing content at the beginning, because I said, okay, come on, there are a lot of people that are better than me. My English, I don't know if it is perfect or not, but it's my English. And I said, why would people see my videos? Why would people see my content? But actually, I started thinking that maybe I explain things different. And maybe they don't see another person's video and they see mine, because I usually try to speak and explain things like if I was my mother on the other side of the table, instead of actually talking to an engineer and just talking about huge, important words and technology. So I try to make things easy so a student can learn from it and a developer can take advantage of that. So
I think that's huge too, because I feel like some of the more like gatekeepy people, like they specifically try to keep like it not accessible, right? Like they use all, because you can drop, like I always say, like tech is like half buzzwords and half like jargon. Like and then even when you switch from different types of tech, like you have to learn the jargon for the new area that you're in, and then once you learn it, like you can always say it simply. Like normalizing data, it's between 0 and 1. Like you're moving into, like, you know what I mean? Like you don't have to, but if you talk to somebody that's new to the field and you just say, well, I'm normalizing my data, they might not be able to follow along. So I love that you said that you're like, I'm talking to them like they're my mom. And so so I like to use the word, and then I also use, like after it, say what it means, so that everybody can follow along, you know?
Yeah, and I think identifying your own way of teaching is really helpful too. And also not letting that also hold you back from creating content, because even for like me starting off, likewise, I feel like anyone that decides they want to create like public content, at some point you feel scared about it, you know? I feel like if you're not scared about it, then great for you. But for the rest of us, like at some point you feel scared in the beginning, and I had comments turned off, you know. I didn't even want to put my face on anything, because it's just that fear of what might happen. But I think someone had responded to me, had sent me a message, and it most likely would have been on Twitter, and they were just like, hey, for your videos, you should show your face in the thumbnail picture. the pictures that you put, the videos. And they said, you should do that because representation matters. Because I'm Black, which is obvious. So now there's this person that's Black, that's a woman creating tech content, but all my video thumbnails were just text, random like pictures, and that's it. And once I started doing that, things just took off from there,
Wow,
and it really does make a difference. I know that's different for everyone, of course. Not saying everyone should go now and fill all their thumbnails up with their pictures, but just that feedback and that honest feedback from someone. And it was definitely scary taking that step into doing it, but it was worthwhile in the end, you know? And, I really appreciated that, but it's just still scary.
It is. I actually got comments on Twitter, bad comments on Twitter, like, why are you teaching you're a woman? I got that kind of
Oh my gosh.
But I didn't see it. I didn't, because it was during an event, so it was so many comments. And Scott Hanselman replied to that.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
And I was like, he's defending me?
It's so important for people with power to defend the people being attacked, because it actually helps way more than you trying to defend yourself, because they'll just argue with you. So I love saying that, like allyship.
You know who else does that?
Who?
Thomas, my manager.
I love that.
He's another person.
Yeah.
He will jump into someone's DMs if he sees them attacking someone.
Love it.
And I think it's a really good thing. And I think it's one of those things where it's just like, I know, like, definitely being someone in power doing that is really great, but even if you're not, like, being able to step up for someone is just as powerful, and it does mean a lot.
And also, at one point, my mom always tell me, if people talk bad about you, it's because you're doing something.
Yeah.
They're noticing you. It's like there's no bad press. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
So I took it that way. I didn't, because I know that I'm not perfect. I know that I don't know everything, but I'm learning, and I'm encouraging. Like, I have 15 comments of, thank you, I'm learning because of your content, and one bad comment. Of course, I'm going to take the 15 comments.
Yeah, exactly.
It's obvious.
I think a lot of it too is like finding your voice and getting confident in your voice. So like, because it's so scary at first, and I was really terrified too. And like, if it wasn't for people encouraging me to do it, I don't think I ever would have like found the confidence to like find my voice and do it. And I think then that's like one of the biggest things that I think is really useful as well by making the content is it kind of helps in like self-discovery as well.
Yeah. And so you mentioned you stream, and I feel like that's a whole new level of content, because it's one thing when you create a whole video and you edit and you publish, but when you're streaming, that's like legitimately live, and you kind of just never know what's going to happen. And I know I gave it a chance during the pandemic. I was on Twitch and I was streaming. But in doing that, I also had a community built up around me of other developers who would just consistently come join, and they, even though like I didn't have a moderator of my own to moderate, but they were kind of there just to do that, and that support was great. But streaming as a whole can just definitely be intimidating, but you actively do it.
Yeah.
And so what made you decide, like, yes, I want to stream, and what keeps you continuing doing that?
First of all, I started streaming with two friends, Pablo and Fernando, I'm going to name them. And it was just to hang around. We get along pretty well, we are friends, and it was like talking to my friends, just for, like we are doing
like
things,
now.
And luckily people just started showing up. So they just were following us and writing us and mail, when is the next event, when is the next streaming, we want to see you guys. And one person told me, it's watching the three of you enjoying what you are doing and having fun, that's what engages us to see you.
Yeah.
And it is amazing because we got presents from all over the world.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, we did.
Great.
And right now it's been a couple of months since we didn't stream, and people are writing to our personal accounts saying, when are you going to stream? We are waiting for you guys. What happened? Is everything okay? And sometimes you just know people from their tag online.
Yeah.
That happens to me a lot. Sometimes, for example, I'm a follower of the AI show.
Yeah.
And when I see that Seth is going online, I'm just tweeting that, and I see people from my community jumping into the live. So I said, okay, this is nice, because you are pointing them into the right direction.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
What kind of things were you doing on your stream?
we created like courses online that is for people to take the exam, IC 900 and AI 900. And or we also have our streaming on Saturdays for people that just want to join. And we have people invited to host and give a talk about anything they want. I even, for example, I gave events for AI. We call it the AI Days. And Seth was invited, for example, and he speaks Spanish though. He was talking about burritos as always. But yes, usually it's whatever we see the community needs, because when we follow everyone on Twitter, we follow the communities of the world, but we see, for example, there is no content about Babylon.js online. Let's do that. Okay, we prepare something to do around that. Or whatever is needed. I was just talking to one of the guys that is creating content about XR, and we talked about creating that in Spanish in a community also. So that happens. The content just appears in front of us, and we just give that to the community.
And then you streamed for some time too,
I did.
didn't you?
Yeah, I did a little bit of streaming. I do more like just YouTube videos now, and it's like the same thing. It's like what's inspiring me, or like what am I working on right now that I want to share. With the streaming, it's like I don't know if people want to watch me be like stuck. Like, like people like when I build things, they're like, oh, you should stream, and I'm like, you want to like watch me like
struggle for an
like,
hour?
Yeah. I don't know if that's really as exciting as you think it is. Like,
people love it.
Really?
Like, but like not from they want to see you fail perspective, but they're interested in the process.
Yeah, the problem solving,
and
right?
That's always been my challenge is I'm really great at showing you the end result. I'm good at that part.
Yeah.
But showing you what it takes to get there, likewise, I think to myself, no one really wants to see me spend 30 minutes searching through Stack Overflow for answers. But apparently people do.
Yes.
People really want to do that. And what I also love about it is folks who will chime in, they'll also help you.
That's true.
And sometimes they're like way quicker at getting you the answer than you could on your own as well. So that's a benefit of it. You should do it.
You should do it.
But it can also take a lot of time.
Yeah, it does.
That I've come to learn. I've had times where I told myself I would just be on a stream for an hour, and then here we are 3 hours later, I'm still here.
Oh yeah, well because it's always like, I'm just gonna do this one more thing, or I wanna solve this before I close like my laptop, and then like that's the other thing with the stream is sometimes the way to get past when you're stuck is to walk away, and you can't really walk away. But maybe that's the cue to like stop streaming. But yeah, I definitely get like that when I'm working, and then it'll be like 9:30 or 10, and I'll be like, okay, I have to stop.
And at some point when at least that happened to me, I think because I'm a woman, that I said, okay, I'm going to code, and people are going to see my code. Like,
I felt that way too.
Really?
Yeah.
Are they interested in seeing my code?
Yeah, but you know, that was my initial thought when I first learned about streaming, like conceptually. It was with folks who play video games, and I had never even thought people would watch folks play video games.
Same.
And so like I couldn't wrap it around my head that people actually do that.
Right.
But as I'm thinking about it, I'm like, no, I kind of go on YouTube and watch other people do tutorials on other miscellaneous things and how to. So it kind of makes sense. And the more I spoke with folks who do tune into streams, and I was just learning about it with video games, they're like, well, they want to see the strategy. They want to see how you went about going to beat this level or this or that. And then when I learned that people were streaming with coding, I'm like, okay, why are people watching folks code? And that's when I realized that, like, likewise, they want to see the process. They really want to see what you go through to create stuff. Totally. Because if you just browse through social media, folks will always show the end result, but very seldom do you get what led to that.
The journey to get there.
Yeah, the journey. And the journey, I think, is sometimes what folks need, because with me, lately, I mentioned earlier, I've been learning 3D modeling. And so one of the courses that I purchased, the guy who created it, he actually sends out weekly emails. And he more so sends an email where he like details his process and everything. And for me now, I'm like, this is so important, because as a beginner, to me, it seems like it's all magic. I feel like you open up Blender and wow, now I have a whole scene. But now being able to actually go through a process and all what's going through their head, you know, all the planning that they go through, what mistakes they might have come across, having that information has been so helpful because then it makes me feel more capable.
Totally. And it's like you understand that so one of the things that I think about it too is you understand how much you know. Like I forget that I'm like knowledgeable and I know lots of different things, and so explaining it actually really helps you understand. Like it gives me confidence as well. But then also the like years and years of practice, you have these processes that you just know, that you just do, and you don't really think about it. And like that is really valuable because to the new people, they have not developed that yet, or it's less developed, you know. And so like I think about when my first development job, just being paired with one of the senior programmers that I worked with, like how much I was able to learn from him. And like without that, it would have been, I wouldn't have had like that mentorship in that way. So it's almost like mass virtual mentorship, you can almost think
that's
of
really
it.
what it becomes.
Yeah.
And no, go ahead.
Oh, you know, I was just going to say, and so once you start thinking about it like that, because then it's also, or like pair programming with the internet is the other way I've explained it, because then when you're stuck, like people be like, oh, you should try this. And so like you can learn together, right?
Yeah, and that brings me to the conversation that the panel that had on community and building that developer community.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned having a lot of virtual mentors, it reminds me of community, because that's really
that's what it
is, you know?
Yeah, I wish I would have gotten involved in community like so much sooner than I did.
Yeah.
Because I waited for a really long time because I was just really self-conscious, you know, and I was like nervous. I was like scared to go talk to people and like all those different things. And so like I think like people should just jump into community first. Like I think that should be part of like college curriculums. Like
it should be. Like it really should be.
Because they do hackathons, right? And that's kind of the way that they start to feel the like the community things happening is by going to the hackathons, interacting with different companies, creating teams, doing that problem solving, like that type of piece. So yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I stumbled into community.
Yeah.
So for me, back when I was starting out on Twitter, it really came from a place of just learning out loud, because prior to that, I really just used the platform for live tweeting shows I was watching, you know? But then as time went on, when I started getting more into programming, I said, okay, I'm going to start sharing what I'm learning. I don't care what anyone else has to say. If someone has a problem with the speed in which I'm learning or the things that I'm running into, if it seems to be that I am not that competent, then oh well, I don't care. And then from there, that's how I started meeting more folks who were also interested in learning, and more important, folks who were already at a point that I had wanted to get to. And they were there to provide so much input. I mean, literally the second that I would ask a question online of like, hey, here's an error and I don't get it, I already did the whole Stack Overflow exercise and I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
So many people will come and chime in
that.
with responses. And I really, really like that. And that's where community is so important. And I know with you, Ivana, there's a lot that you do with community as well. And that just as a whole, having that community really helps a lot. And so if you can share with us a bit more, just like what your experience has been just being within the community, and what are some of the highlights that you've come across as well?
Just that, to have people around when we were talking about this, not having the possibility to fix something pretty quickly. Jesse mentioned that on the event, like you have someone that you know that is building certain project, and you know that the other person needs help with that, so you put them together, you connect them, and they help each other. I think that's the main benefit of having a community, just having people that maybe know less or know more, and they can help each other.
Yeah.
Which is why it is important to have to be humble.
Yes.
When you are part of the community.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because actually, it's not like the person that is speaking knows more. They are sharing their content. If you know more than that person, help that person learn.
Yeah.
Don't do it live, because sometimes that could be
bad.
But you can later just send a message or something that you would have another option how to build this or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's it. And leaving the content online, that's one of the benefits, because it happened to me that, for example, I'm at work and I'm working with a team and they got stuck on certain things, and I streamed that on that minute, on that day. Okay, just take a look at the video. And you don't have to teach everything and to explain everything again.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There are tons of benefits that you can explain around community.
And you mentioned something in your panel with regards to the story at the very end where you all were asked to share an inspiring story. You had mentioned the student that had gotten a job, and that pretty much there's like life-changing things that can come out of working in community. And I would say likewise for me in terms of how I got started in this space, it is thanks to the community. And I mentioned yesterday, Jesse was the person who gave me my very first HoloLens. And in addition to that, we have some other additional like mutual friends that we have, Steve Lucas, for example, at Qualcomm, and then Trisha Katzbecker, as well as Joe Gabriel, both from Niantic. They were the ones that really also got me started too, you know? So like we all weren't at the same company at the time. But, you know, the three that I had just mentioned, like Trisha got me my very first book on developing for XR. And I had a chance to meet up with those folks at a workshop that was happening. And that was also when I was gifted my first device from them as well. And that's a very rare chance to have for someone that just raised their hand randomly and said, I want to learn this thing.
Yeah.
And now the community has so much support. And if you fast forward 2 years later, like I have a whole job in this space now. And it's because community helped. And they were strangers to me. I had no clue who these people were.
And
you know?
I actually have a new role because of that. Also.
Yeah.
So,
I love that you guys both talked about like somebody gave you books.
Yeah.
So like, I think that's awesome because when you don't know where to start, it's like really hard to pick what book you want. And you know what's really funny? When I wanted to learn how to program and I went to the bookstore and I was like, there's all these books. I literally picked the one called Programming.
without knowing.
So innovative.
Because I was like, I don't know what to pick.
Well, there's something important around mentoring. If you are learning, find a mentor. I had my mentor, and whenever I'm trying to, while I'm trying to learn this, read this or try to learn this. She's guiding me because there is so much content online. So that's a huge advice I try to give to everyone. Just search for a mentor, ask someone that you admire if they can mentor you, so you can have a guide.
Yes, because I didn't have a mentor either.
Can you imagine?
It's like, right? So I was very much, I did it the hard way. And then like once I learned about mentorship, I had already been in my career for a while. And I was like, this would have been so much, this would have been really helpful. Like, why didn't I have this? Like, and it's just because again, I was kind of like way more introverted and like, was scared to ask questions and engage and all of that. So I think like if I could go back again, like finding community and mentorship. This was like before Meetup existed though too. Like there wasn't, it was a lot harder to find that before like where we are now. Like if you think back, like this was probably, I want to say 10 years ago. Like it was a different kind of climate too.
And it was way less content.
Like
compared to today, oh my goodness, people have it lucky.
And after COVID, the content like even increased.
Yeah, for sure. But back then, when we were
when we were getting started, there was like not all the online content. Non-traditional paths were like a lot less common then too.
And
like,
it was a challenge getting out of that path you were in.
Boot camps weren't really around yet, as far as I know, like either. So I think now it's so cool how many different ways there are and how like many communities there are to join, how to get that. So I say I kind of like did it the hard way, but at the time there wasn't really as much. There wasn't a really easier way yet. So
but it's been great though to have the mentors, and I think for a lot of us who started in tech, you know, former years, because next year I'll be entering my 10th year in tech, like as a whole. So mixed reality, you know, it was 2 years ago for me, but tech as in general, it's been about 10 years, and I spent 7 prior to that in fashion. And so now that I'm coming up on this 10-year mark, to your point, looking back, it's like there were not that many resources. I didn't go to school to have that switch. It was literally, I was starting on Codecademy back then because that was really all that was available online. And being able to just try to figure out, well, where do I start first, and just picking one place and saying, this is my start. For you, it's a programming book. That's my start. And then what I really love though is that for a lot of us who have been here for so long, we recognize what we went through to get to a spot where we learned as much as we know now, because now we're also reaching back and creating content to help folks who now want to start.
Funny story, I was part of Build in Argentina. And I got a tweet that day from a person that works for Microsoft. His name is Dante Gagne. He's part of the product team, I think Visual Studio. And he wrote to me and said, "Are you the Ivana that wrote to me 15 years ago asking me about WPF?"
Yes.
And I was like, "Yes, that's me. I'm so happy to see you on Build." And I remember myself watching only one post online, and I wrote to that person that worked for Microsoft, and he replied to me.
Yeah.
And he told me it was nice to see a student that was so interested in learning, he said. And I feel proud of my young self because I was trying to get content from wherever I could at that time. And I did what I could, and now I see that people actually saw me at that point.
I love that story, and he remembered too.
Yeah,
It's like he like made such an impact with what, reaching out and asking good questions, and it's amazing.
It's amazing.
And so even now, we're all here, we're in this industry, and we've been here either in tech or in AI, for example, or in XR now for a little bit. I feel that I don't want to call it a stigma, but for lack of a better term, the stigma around being a woman in tech still follows us. I feel like that's something that there are places where things can get better. Will it ever go away? I don't quite feel like it'll for sure ever go away, but I think it's going to continue to follow. But I feel that there have been some improvements. Now with our space, even though I mentioned yesterday, like the XR world has been around for years, but it's just now become a lot more popularized. So we're seeing a lot more folks that are migrating over into this space. No one's a genius yet in this space because it's still in this infancy stage, but yet it's also one of those things where I'm curious, now that you're doing more in this space, are you seeing the challenges still with being a woman in tech, but now a woman in tech and XR?
I struggle a lot with being in technology, but then I started living with it. So right now, I think a couple of 5 years ago, I started seeing the communities, women in technology, or women doing this, and women doing, and at my time, we didn't have that. But I struggle a lot, a lot to be in the community with them, with everyone. Like, why do I need to create a community different to whatever we have, like guys and girls, and I don't see now that problem of being a woman in technology. I don't see that problem, but maybe it's something because I already adapted to it.
Get used to it, right?
Yes, and sometimes when I'm in a conference and I know that I'm with men or with guys around, I know that people, I tend to think they are going to pay attention to them, not to me, or maybe I'm too sentimental in my comments. But as I told you before, I'm just thinking that that's what I'm adding to the table.
Yes, you're adding to the table.
So we girls have a different point of view, and it's important for us to see that that is also good.
I always say too, for me, I'm totally fueled by rage against the status quo. And so the more that if people do something that upsets me because I'm a woman, that's just more motivation for me to continue and to change it. I'm motivated by the fact that if you still exist, then I need to still exist. If there's people that want to discriminate against me or that kind of thing, it's just, or say something mean, and I mean, it's usually a lot more subtle though, right? The microaggression thing. And so it can get exhausting sometimes. I think I start to see it more now than I used to. Not more it happens more. I think I was very much used to it, and you kind of just forget about it, right? But and so now it's just that's just more motivation for me. So
what I also saw is that it's difficult for me to, when I'm explaining someone and someone tells me, no, you're wrong. It's no, I'm not wrong. Take a look at this documentation. With a smile.
I love those moments where I've seen where folks, women specifically on Twitter, have mentioned that they've been in a back and forth disagreement with another person, and they're just saying how no, because the person who made this thing, this is how they wrote it, and they're I'm the person that wrote it, and then it's just
I've seen that.
Really? So it's amazing. Amazing in a bad way, I would say. It's amazing. But I would say being a woman in this space, for me, having come from the luxury fashion industry, I've always walked down that path of so much of how I showed up in that space is how I'm showing up here in tech now. I'm still going to dress the way that I like to dress. That one's a really big one that I've come to find to be something that, you know, women who come into this space, they try to figure out, you know, should I conform more to one look over the other? And I remember I had did an event a couple years ago, and I showed up bright red coat, you know, because it's like either my outfit's toned down or it's loud. There's no in between. And, you know, I gave a talk on public speaking and such, and at the very end, one of the women that was there was a tech event, but at the end, one of the women that was there, she came to me and she was just saying how she was so amazed at how I dressed because she felt that she didn't have the confidence to come and wear things like that to like tech events, and also more important, to be taken serious.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And so the way I explained it to her, I said, well, this is how I dress, you know? And so if someone else there has a problem with it or they don't want to take it serious, they should probably reflect on why that's the case and what's wrong with them internally, that whatever that I have going on seems to be an issue for them. And so from that day, like she was just so amazed that there was someone that was a woman that was just being who they are. Yep. And so for her, she said it really gave her that confidence to feel as though, okay, maybe I can start dressing more the way I want to dress and present myself the way I want to present myself, you know, in tech. But
I definitely went through that phase where I would be totally way more toned down, particularly at tech events. Like at work, I worked at a law firm at the time, and so like we had to wear business casual, so like it wasn't really a thing at work, but like when I would go into developer communities, like I definitely thought about it, and I didn't want to stick out too much, because like when I went to my first tech conference, there was like maybe 3 women out of like all of the men there. And I would sit in the room and I'm like the only woman in the room other than at this tech. And I mean, that was a long time ago. It's gotten a lot better now. But because of that, I already felt like I stuck out so much. Like I didn't want to put something like loud on because I already felt very like out of place. You know what I mean? Like,
I told you
and so
girls,
it took me a long time to get the confidence.
I told you girls that I was born in a city in the north of the country of Argentina. And we are different in there. Like we are pretty casual. We do like makeup and everything, but when I started traveling and getting into events and else, and I didn't think, first of all, I needed to defend my city. It was not my gender. It was like my country and my city. So it was like I drink mate, which is a traditional drink in Argentina, and I'm the entire time, and people at the beginning look at me and say, "What are you drinking? Is that like cocaine or something?" No, it's tea, hot tea. But when they point at me like I was crazy, I'm going to do it more because this is from my country, and and so I started defending my country, and then I realized that actually I was also defending myself and my values. So I think that's the important thing, that at least for all the girls that are getting into tech, defend your values. If you like to wear red like you, wear it. That's you. That's how you were raised and how you feel good. And I don't know.
But it's like finding your voice too. Like it's also finding the confidence in yourself too. Like I think that those are both important parts of being active in communities. And also just like you said though, when you see somebody else like do it, representation, like it's like that kind of idea. It's like, okay, now I feel like it's okay. Like, oh, it's okay to be girly. It's okay to do that and still be technical. Like they're not mutually exclusive things. Like, which seems like common sense, right? But it really like for a lot of communities it wasn't. Like I feel like it's getting a lot better though, personally.
Oh yes, for sure. I feel like things are getting better, and you know, across various industries. You know, I wouldn't say it's just specific to tech. But things are getting better, which I'm really happy, you know, to see and observe. And then even now that we're in the middle of Pride, which to me is like throughout the entire year, but specifically since it's in June, you know, it's nice to see advancements that we've made as well. You know, for the LGBTQIA+ community too. So it's nice to see that this inclusivity is really starting to continue to spread and grow. I think we definitely have work, you know, for sure, to really get to a point where all can truly feel included. But when it comes to just being in this space, but also having to be in a very technical position, I do still feel sometimes like, are people going to take me serious? And as I mentioned earlier, when I do get outreach from, from guys, and they find the content that I create to be helpful, or they find something, it's one thing when they say I was able to help them solve something, but it's another when they say I inspired them. And I never, in my head, I never had ideas of like inspiring someone that didn't look like me. That was never my intention. But it's like, it's also happens to be a byproduct of a lot of what I've done, and that it feels good to know that. And I just feel like it makes me feel at the end of the day that like I'm doing the right thing. And I hate to say that, finding validations in what someone else has to say impacts me a lot, but it's true. I'm human.
Yeah.
And that validation can come from hearing from folks saying, wow, you helped, or wow, you inspired me. But it means a lot, and it does help me when I wake up every morning ready to work to know that like, hey, I have a voice here. It's important, and people want to actually hear it, and it's helping people as well. And I think that's really important. And I feel like for those for those of you who are tuning in, and as you're starting to see more folks, pop into the scene that's creating content with XR, reach out and, express your gratitude, let folks know that they're doing a good job, especially if, be genuine about it, don't just say to check a box and say you did it, but like be genuine about it, and let folks know like, yes, their content's helpful, because I know for me it means a lot, and I know for you too, but like it does mean a lot, and it goes a very, very, very long way.
The conference talk that I went to that got me into AI was with Jennifer Marsman, who's a Microsoft employee as well. And I remember when I started, because I started at Microsoft in AI, so like literally if I wouldn't have went to her conference talk and got inspired to start learning, like I feel like my path would have been so different, right? And I wanted to send her an email and say like thank you, and I was so scared to send it. And so like it can be kind of like scary to tell people too that you're like, you were awesome, like thank you, like because it's like you respect them so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does mean a lot from both. And of course I got a really nice email back, and then I was all like, yay. So yeah, it is. It's a good feeling from both sides, like to be able to tell someone that they helped, and then also to be able to hear that what you did mattered to somebody.
And I think what's also important to do as well is like once you get to a point where in your career where like, this is what I've been waiting for, it's also important to then reach back and help others. And so like for the past 6 months or so, myself and some other internal folks within Microsoft, and then also one of our Microsoft partners, we've come together to start doing mixed reality workshops for historically Black colleges and universities. And we're continuing to do that as we head into like the next school year, and so on and so forth. And there's a good amount of HBCUs in this country, and will we reach them all within the next year? Probably not, because there's just so many. But we're a small and mighty team, and we're ensuring that we're helping close that digital divide. And I think doing the work like that is really, really important, because there's so much untapped potential when folks are like left out and they don't have those opportunities to learn, especially in this space where things are expensive,
That might remind me to a question that they asked in the panel about what happens when your community is so big.
Yeah.
And something that it's important to understand is that you need to potentiate others to also create their community, to also create their content. Sometimes people think, no, I'm going to be competition with Ivana or someone that I really admire, and that's not the thing.
Right.
If we are much more, that's why I was telling you guys about what I put on the table when I create content is different from others, because I always encourage the students and everyone, because their point of view is different from mine.
Yeah.
So there is not enough content. And sometimes when they reach to me and said, okay, I want to create content about JavaScript, and that there is a ton of content about JavaScript, but you have something different, do it, because maybe someone from the other part of the world like how you explain it. So that's it.
Yeah.
Yep. And I even find like when I'm researching like a new topic or a new technology, a lot of times I read like multiple blogs on the same topic, and then there's like one particular that's like this one resonates with me, like you're saying, like it totally, and it doesn't change as you get further in your career. Like it still happens, like to this day when I'm trying to learn something new. It definitely, and that's the other thing where it comes to like, well, I'm not going to write a blog about, let's say, Azure Functions, because Azure Functions already has blogs. And it's like, but no one's written the blog that you're going to write.
At all.
Yeah. And so that was one thing, too, that I think when I started creating content, I started thinking that it had to be something completely new that nobody's ever done. And it's like, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
And to your point with regards to creating content in another language, that's a really important one. So, you know, we have an entire team here at Microsoft who does work on localization. We have tools in place to help with that. The videos that we also publish online, we also do our best to ensure that there's captioning in various languages. But for those of you who happen to be like the individual, you know, content creator, creating content in your own native language is such a huge thing when it's not English, because I feel like there's, from a tech perspective, there's so much content in English around tech.
That's true.
But when we start thinking about other languages, that's when the numbers start to drop. And I think that's really important to do that. And I always love to talk about Mrtk, one of the advocates on our team. She spent a good amount of time, and she's still working on it now, to translate Babylon.js documentation into Japanese. And that project she's doing with one of our MVPs, it's been super impactful, you know, because now there's a whole new group of developers who can now try this out, and they have the full documentation in their language. And that's really important, you know. And I feel like if I was a person that had like 50 Mrtk videos, and you came to me and said, April, I'm now going to do all your videos, but in a different language, I would be happy. I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah.
You know, like I wouldn't say she's still in my content. Like, no, I'd be happy, because I'm like, there's now, these videos are recreated in a way that's going to be available for folks in a language that's best for them to learn. And I think that's important. To your point, like, I don't see it as competition. I see it as helping further the reach, and that just makes me happy, you know, to come across that.
And also competition between communities is sometimes people in Argentina, we call it the Boca River, because we like soccer.
I know, don't it?
Soccer. Boca against River. But it's not like that. It's not like you only do content of one technology only or one company only. Jesse said it. It's not like companies are against each other. We all developers need to learn everything that is better for your customer. That's the main reason. And in communities happens the same. It's not like the communities are competition. In fact, in the YouTube channel of a community that I own, Canasur, we host other communities. Because like being Microsoft MVP, we have a lot of benefits, and we have the possibility to help others that don't have that benefits into spreading content. So that's the main goal of our community. So it's not like Boca River. So if you have the opportunity, for example, to make a video or a stream, or get into a community and make something together, it gets even bigger.
Yes, for sure. Like it's important.
And even on Twitch, you know, they have like the Twitch raids, you know, and so they'll like go to another streamer and like maybe like and help out the smaller streamers so that they can gain more community too. And I think that's really amazing and unique. And is that kind of unique to tech? Like, I don't know if other industries necessarily have so much of that.
But it's nice to see when it does happen.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's really nice to see, even when folks are getting even started on social media. I know, like Grace, she joined us yesterday, and she was she gave a panel discussion with Brent on Mrtk, and I know she's brand new to Twitter, for example, and so even just seeing folks say, "Hey, Grace is new here, like help her out, you know, follow her." Things like that are like so helpful, because I feel like there's such selfless acts where like no one's looking for anything in return. Like no one's saying, you know, give me this so that way I can help you with that. It's really from a place of genuinely wanting to help other people. And I think that's like so important. And I think the more we have of that in this industry, the better. I feel like when I say industry, I mean the tech industry, but even the more of that we have in the mixed reality community, or just a general like extended reality community, that's really going to help ensure that we're pushing things forward, I would say, with all the work that we do. So I'm hoping to see a lot more of that for sure.
Yes, definitely. Well, the Microsoft Student Partner is like a huge community of students all over the world. When I competed in Imagine Cup, most of the competitors were Microsoft student partner from all over the world. And the same happens with a Microsoft MVP community, right? So we are a lot of developers that love technology, and we connect with each other, and we travel to events like these ones, and that's it. That's part of the work community says it all. And the important is to stay humble.
Yeah,
That's the only thing.
And I feel like even internally, for the past, I keep saying a couple of weeks, really it's been for the past 2 years, but more lately in the past 2 weeks, I've been working a lot with the Mrtk folks and the folks who've helped create Mrtk3. And I would say they are probably some of the most humblest engineers like ever, because they're so willing to help. And if I happen to have ran into a problem and we get on the call, if they get stuck, they're okay. They are okay with admitting that they're stuck. But as I was explaining to 2 of them recently, I said, it actually makes me feel good to hear you say that you got stuck on an issue too, because that makes me feel like, okay, I'm not stupid, you know?
Yeah, I always
it's not saying they're stupid, but it's just the fact that like sometimes we just get stuck.
Right.
And it's okay.
Oh my gosh, I always like when I get stuck, I'm like, God, why don't like I'm stupid, I don't get it. Like, and I totally like go through like this like self-loathing thing, and then I figure it out, and then I'm like, yeah. It's a really thing. So it's important to see that like the most brilliant people that you see doing these amazing things also get stuck on things, and it's like. And it's really, tech is a continuous learning, right?
Oh, always learning.
And so part of learning is difficulty. It is getting stuck. Like that's part of the process. And so I think once you start getting like accepting that, then you get more into the, okay, it's not me. It's that I'm learning something. I'm doing something difficult. That's the other thing I forget a lot too when I'm doing things. I'm like, I forget that this is actually probably hard to do. Like, so have empathy for yourself. And when you're learning these new technologies and you get stuck, like it's important to do that.
Yeah. So if you ever get stuck, what do you do first?
Go to walk with my dogs. Because they struggle so much that I stopped thinking about the problem. And then when I get home, I said, oh, that was the solution. No, but really is that get away from the computer and do something else. Focus on something else that is not computer related. And then it is easier. That's if I don't have to deliver something on a date, because if I do have on a date, I reach to people in the community like, help.
I totally rubber ducky. Like, I do. Like I talk it out. Like even if like, so like my son or like my husband, even though they might not know what I'm even like talking about, but like it just helps to talk it out. So I think like, and sometimes just, you actually use different parts of your brain when you think of something audibly. And so when you're thinking through something, sometimes your thoughts go so fast that you skip over things that you should have actually spent a little bit more time on that might have been part of like the solution. And so I found that actually literally talking about it makes me think more deeper on particular types of solutions while I'm totally like, that's what I like to do. I look it up, and then I like will have to, after like an hour, then I might rubber ducky. And then after, like, I'm too stubborn to walk away right away. And so like I'm like in it for like 2 or 3 hours before I'm like, okay, I'm gonna walk away for a little while.
I would say after I slam the keyboard and the mouse, what I've done lately, honestly, I get up and I've been just watching a new anime series. I've been watching, I think The Promised Neverland is what it's called, and that's been how I'm able to just like chill out for a second, because like you, it's hard for me to just get up and walk away. I keep going and going until I find something. But that's been helping me, is just literally going away from everything. But then, of course, throughout that time, you're still thinking through like, maybe I should try this, maybe I should try that. But once I've like exhausted all, searching online to find answers, then I'll usually reach out to an engineer and I'm like, all right, look, this is what I've tried. Help me. I am stuck. But, recognizing that because we have community, there's a wealth of knowledge around us, and we can always reach out to folks if we ever need anything is super important. But
I also love like when I wake up with the answer. Like I'll go to sleep and I'll wake up and
I've done that too. I have done
Lucky
that too.
you.
Doesn't happen often, but when it has happened, it's made a big
I cannot do it because
difference.
I cannot sleep if I do that.
Oh, really?
I'm like in my bed, like.
Think about it a little too much. That's fair. Yeah, I would say it can be frustrating once you get stuck, but also we've had a really good conversation.
We did.
So glad I've had a chance to speak with you. It's definitely been great, and you're sticking around though, right? For the rest of the event.
The event continues.
Perfect. So we have some more sessions that are coming up for those of you who are tuning in live, and we'll continue doing our streaming. But we're going to head into our next session now. Have fun.